What is up, you fine and fabulous folks, and welcome to number 18 of Beating Obesity. This episode we talk about how to fight inflammation. I really hope you enjoy, and if you would like a free ebook on what to actually eat, go to timmaynardfitness.com, scroll down on the homepage, enter your email and first name, and it'll be sent to you. I hope you all enjoy the show. What is up, you fine and fabulous folks, and welcome to another episode of the Beating Obesity podcast. Yeah, this will be just another solo episode with your fine and I don't want to use fabulous again. I don't want to call myself fabulous. What am I? I'm fine and fanatic. Your fine and fanatic host, because I'm a fanatic about fitness, and we're delivering some health and fitness information to you fine people out there today. And we have an interesting topic for today. I think it's something that a lot of people have issues with, especially as they get older and start to suffer a lot of chronic illnesses. And this is, they're starting to discover now, is kind of an underlying factor in almost every chronic illness, and that would be inflammation. And I just want to talk about, like, what can you do to combat inflammation and fight inflammation and keep it down, and kind of just like a general idea and understanding of what it is and why you need to manage it. So first we'll start off kind of like what inflammation is. It's actually a immune response that involves the body to release chemicals that attack infectious organisms and help get rid of debris. So there's two kind of types of inflammation. One is acute inflammation, which we've all kind of know what it is. Like if you cut yourself or really banged your knee on something, it gets red, it swells up, it kind of has a little irritating, maybe itchy feeling. But then that goes away as it starts to heal up, you know, the swelling goes down, and then it's all good. And you actually need that inflammation response for your body to heal. Even when lifting weights, you actually need an inflammation response, because that's the response that signals your body that, okay, something's damaged, something's going on, we're going to have to, you know, send the troopers out, get this shit fixed. And then there's chronic inflammation, and this is where things get a little hairy, because chronic inflammation is when the immune system chemicals persist in your body regardless of a certain area or injury, and they spread throughout the body. And then, you know, the theory is they can attack different things, and I think that's what a lot of immune or autoimmune issues are, is just this high chronic inflammation. All right, and it's triggered, you know, by many, many things, but the one I really want to focus on, because I think it's the one that people miss the most, and I think it's a giant contributor, and it's one of the ones you can really take into your hands and do something about, and that's food. Every meal you have is causing, even if it's a really healthy meal, it does cause a low level inflammation, just because your body has to go through and digest that and break it down into something usable. But all this, like really hard food to break down, that's loaded in sugar and fat and chemicals, it is very inflammatory in your body. And you know, they're connecting inflammation with all kinds of diseases, such as Alzheimer's and arthritis, and even depression now. There's studies that show like inflammation in the brain influences it and can cause depression, and it accelerates aging. And, you know, it's just a lot of stuff you don't want to happen. It's just not advantageous very long. And there's many symptoms to it that can include fatigue, high blood pressure as drove by inflammation, water retention, a lot of allergic reactions are drove by inflammation, bloating and irritable bowel syndrome, acne, stiffness, and arthritis. Like, those are all symptoms of having high inflammation. And, those may not be the only driving factor, certainly not. But I believe if you can lower your inflammation, it'll probably most likely help every single one of those. And those are some good, like, maybe if I'm suffering from some of those, it's probably a good indication that you do have some level of chronic inflammation in your body. And if you really want to know, you can get blood tests done. You can go get your C-reactive proteins and your cytokines tested and see if they're, which are inflammatory compounds your body releases. And if they're elevated, you can kind of check, like, am I fighting off, they could be elevated because you're fighting off an infection or something like that. But if they're chronically elevated, there's some underlying chronic inflammation going on. And so what can we do, especially food-wise, to help get rid of the inflammation? And there's two ways to approach this. It's getting rid of all the inflammatory foods, which we'll go through, and then adding in anti-inflammatory foods. And then there's even some special, more specific anti-inflammatory foods and supplements and stuff you can use if this is a big problem for you. So first, you got to get rid of the sugar, man. It's one of the worst. The sodas, the Pop-Tarts, the cereals, the candy, that stuff's got to go. That is destroying your gut. Promoting leaky gut, or whatever they call it, permeable gut. Destroys your gut lining, basically. Processed meats, bologna, hot dogs, potted meat, nitrate-loaded bacon, things like that are terrible for you. Not only do they promote cancer, but they're also very destructive in the gut and really high inflammation. Trans fats are probably the worst. I would avoid these at all costs. Trans fats, one of the few things that I would never allow myself to really have, and that's like hydrogenated oils, margarine, shortening, all the fake butter stuff. Anything that has hydrogenated oils in it, just do not buy it. Buy a different kind, even if it's not the most healthy kind. Just get rid of the trans fats, man. Artificial sweeteners are a big one. Diet sodas, sugar-free foods, those are usually loaded with artificial sweeteners, and they've been shown to cause inflammation and actually mess with your gut microbes, like how your microbiome interacts with glucose. So that's kind of scary too. And another one is processed oils. Really processed oils like corn oil, soybean oil, canola oil. For one, they're super unstable at high heats, which causes oxidative damage. But they're also super high in omega-6s. And studies are starting to show now you need a good balance between omega-3 and omega-6 diets are shown to be very inflammatory when you don't have those omega-3 balances. So avoid the oils that are, one, unstable at high heats. You don't want to cook with them. And two, loaded in omega-6s because it'll throw your omega-3 and 6 balance off. And also one for some people that causes immune responses and inflammation is dairy and gluten. Now, really processed dairy and really processed gluten will probably do this for everyone, but some people, they just do best without any of it all. So that'll be some I'll leave up to you to play with. All right, now we'll start getting to some of the things that can help fight inflammation. These are specific foods and supplements and things like that that'll help drive it down if this is something you think you're suffering with. And one would be, we talked about just a minute ago with the omega-6, is to increase your omega-3 rich foods. It helps balance out the omega-6 ratio, and it's been shown to your membranes can actually, they look and they see, are they mostly full of omega-3 or omega-6, and the ones that have more omega-3s have been shown to be much healthier. So that would be your fatty fish like salmon, anchovies, sardines. Those are great. Those I would include because they have the more readily absorbable omega-3s than the plant versions, which would be chia seeds, flax seeds, and hemp seeds, which are still great and still have their own benefits. But I would also include some of the fatty fish in there just to make sure. Another one is leafy greens, the thing that no one eats, which are amazing for you. And they did a study with the vitamin E found in both spinach and chard, showed to greatly reduce cytokines, which play a huge role in inflammation. Cytokines are an inflammatory chemical your body releases, like we was talking about, that the immune system releases chemicals. Cytokines is one of the big ones, and they've been shown to really help with that. Beets and berries are a really good one because they're both loaded with antioxidants, which are great. Now, there's some medicinal mushrooms you can use, and I'm not talking about the kinds that trip you out. Although I wonder if those fight inflammation. I know they've been shown to have neurogenesis effects in the brain, which is pretty cool. But that's a whole nother podcast. Reishi mushrooms, maitake mushrooms, and lion's mane mushrooms have shown to have good compounds in them to help fight systemic inflammation. So you can eat those by themselves, but you can also get supplement forms. I really like the Four Sigmatic mushroom coffee, and also there's a guy named Paul Stamets. I think he's a name. He's a mycologist who sells mushroom supplements that are really, really good. Another one, garlic, is really good. It's been shown to also suppress cytokine production and has been shown to help treat inflammatory bowel disease in a lot of studies. And, it's pretty clear to show if it's fighting inflammatory bowel disease, it's probably fighting inflammation to some extent. And another really big one is tart cherry juice. And this is one that it's made from a certain type of cherries. Hope I don't say this wrong. Montmorency cherries, which have the highest anti-inflammatory content of any food. Man, I can't talk today. In some studies, it was comparable to over-the-counter anti-inflammatory medications. My God. Which would be like your ibuprofens, your Motrins, your things like that, which are not good long term. They've actually been shown after you start overusing them, they start causing inflammation rather than fighting inflammation. And those things, you should not rely on them. Search for these other ways first, because those are only going to lead to issues down the road. And here's some like herbs and things you can try, which is turmeric, which is one that's been going around. It's been shown to be very beneficial, oh my God, man, I cannot talk today. Very beneficial for anti-inflammatory, especially because of a certain active compound in it called curcumin. And you can get curcumin just by itself, but you can also, if you just get the whole turmeric, you get the curcumin and all the other added benefits, because there's other compounds in turmeric that have been shown to help. And the cayenne pepper, which contains capsaicin, which is known as the destroyer of inflammation in many cultures. I didn't even know that until I looked this up. So you can try ashwagandha, which is an adaptogen, which adaptogens are very interesting because they have different effects for different people in the body. And they actually help your body adapt to stress and bring up or bring down any chemicals or hormones it needs. So let's say if you have low testosterone, it's been shown that it can help bring that testosterone up, or if you have too much estrogen, it can help mitigate that and things like that. So it's really interesting, and it's been shown to help with stress, which also helps inflammation. And it has a high level of excuse me if I've never actually said this word, I've only read it, with anolides that help reduce inflammation. Those have been shown. Okay, and another big one is really taking care of your gut. So probiotics and fermented food. Your gut is where we contain most of our immune cells, and your microbiome, which is constantly interacting with all your genes and expressing how they go. So you really have to keep that healthy if you want a healthy immune system that isn't, being set off all the time by things that don't need to be. And so that would be, you can get a probiotic supplement. There's different strains. I may talk about this in the future, but I'm really leaving it up to you all on this one to research the different strains and which kind you would need. But there's different strains, and I would get like a 20 to 50 billion CEU. But another thing you can do is focus on fermented foods, which help feed the gut bacteria. So kimchi, kombucha, sauerkraut, miso, kefir, anything like that that's been fermented, those are really, really great for your gut and to feed the microbiome and keep it healthy. Another one is exercise, which In a lot of ways, this is a surprising one because exercise in itself creates inflammation. But as we talk, it creates that beneficial acute inflammation, which sends a signal like, okay, there's something that happened here. We need to go repair this. We need to go fix it and make it better. And it actually reduces the C-reactive protein in your body, which has been shown to reduce the chronic inflammation. So I often kind of wonder too, like if you create like damage and inflammation in a certain spot and you have chronic inflammation, it's going to redirect those signals to that spot to repair what is actually needed. And so it's taking away all the C-reactive proteins that are just going around the body and causing an immune response. So I don't know if that works like that. Don't take my word. That's just kind of my hypothesis. I'm just a kid trying to help you all get skinny. Let me take a little sip of my coffee. All right. And the last one would be sleep. Sleep is a huge one. And, that's really your body's repair and recovery process. Everything from I learned this the other day, and it blew my mind. Your brain shrinks 40% while you're sleeping. Like, there's all these kind of crazy processes that are happening. Your body is rapidly and drastically changing while you're sleeping. So if you ignore that process, your body is not going to be able to recover and repair properly, and that's definitely going to drive inflammation. And that's really most of the tips I have, but there is one other thing I would like to discuss to let you all know, I guess, how beneficial this could be. There is I won't say her name, but there was this girl I'd worked with a while back, and she's a pretty hefty lady, and she always had pain walking and moving with her feet. She got like a lot of inflammation, arthritis, and it just always hurt for her to move. And she went through a 21-day, it's almost like a detox, but it's more like it focuses on whole food. It's more like an elimination diet, really. It's a low-calorie elimination diet, which does two things. It gets rid of any food that you may have a response or reaction to. So your immune system gets a break. And also because you're eating a lot less, your digestion gets a break. My God, I can't talk today. Your digestion gets a break. And that just allows all that inflammation to go down and your stomach to start repairing itself and get better. And at the end of the 3 weeks, she dropped like 20-some pounds, not of fat, but water weight. And she was talking about just how amazing she felt. And like her joints, like her pain's just gone. And I was like so impressed. And that's so happy to hear when you hear somebody that's, in pain every single day. They wake up and everything hurts. Like everything you do hurts. Like going to the bathroom sucks. Getting up and getting a cup of water is painful. Like, just think about how drastically that diminishes your quality of life. And she did just a 21-day low-calorie elimination type diet. If you want to know specifically, it was the Beachbody Ultimate Reset's what she did. And, man, it was impressive. Like 20-some pounds of just water weight. And that just shows how inflamed and swollen she was. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And I just wanted to share that. And that may be a good place for a lot of people to start, is a elimination type diet. Figure out what's setting you off, what's giving you immune response and causing inflammation, and give your body a break from having to break down these non-ideal foods and having to digest so many foods. And, I hope that helped. I hope there's at least one or two tips you can find in there that'll help you, because having high inflammation levels, it just brings a lot of chronic pain and a lot of chronic illness into your life. And if you can mitigate that, more power to you. So this has been the Beating Obesity number 18 on how to fight inflammation. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review. You have to actually go to search, and then you type in Beating Obesity. Even if you're already subscribed, you still have to search, and then leave us a review. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you would like a free ebook on the kind of just like what you should actually be eating for weight loss and health, go to timmaynardfitness.com and scroll down on the homepage, and you'll find a What to Actually Eat, A Beginner's Guide to Nutrition free ebook. Just enter your first name and email, and that'll be sent to you. And that's, I think, could be a great help. So I hope you utilize that. And if you want to find more from me, you can find me on the website. I'm also on Instagram at Tim Maynard Fitness and on Facebook at Timothy Maynard Fitness. Hope you all have a great freaking day. Bye.